Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Fatma Technology Wali and I am a lead facilitator at Rehan School Ho campus. Today we have a very special guest with us, Mark Novak. He is an inspiring personality and we are excited to talk with him today. Hello Mark, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh yeah, it's real good, real good joining. It's been a hectic day, and my apologies for any delays or anything like that. But yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So I want to this get introduce yourself with my audience.
Oh yeah, my name's Mark Novak. Been in IT, mainly mainframe programming for the past 40 years, working for various companies, including manufacturing, telecommunications, banking, and insurance companies. Working on their transactions, working mainly in a development role and also a support role, being a subject matter expert and also helping individuals figure things out. Mainframe programming is one of those areas that people thought was going to be dead 30 years ago, but it is carried on. So I am glad to share my life experiences and some of the lessons that I have learned.
Okay, great introduction. So my next question is that what inspired you to start your journey in your field?
Well, basically, what happened was is that when I was in college, I was going to go into some sort of boring business field, but I was inspired by a teacher who basically told me about the computers particularly within a business focus. And what I liked about the particular area is that if you were doing well, you either had the chops or you didn't, so the results were more measurable. So I found myself in a place in which people could see the results of your work and that the measurements were more tangible. So in IT, you're doing things and the metric is whether or not the processes are working and the processes are designed in the background. So I like that. It was a simpler way of doing a particular field rather than what was happening in other areas in which the uh, the measurables were tended to be softer.
Okay, great answer. So my next question is that how do you handle your failure?
Well, failures is normally a situation in which if you failed at something, you need to accept that particular failure. You don't want to double down on your failure. So the way that I handle failures is that I handle failures as a benchmark or a possible marker to a success. And normally some of your biggest successes have minor failures on the way. The worst thing that you can do is double down on your failure. And if you double down on your failure and go into denial, that can make a failure into a fiasco. So being able to accept the failure and move on is the best way to deal with it.
Okay. So my next question is that what is your future goals?
Oh, my personal goal is to be a person who's well rounded and can share things with other individuals and can and can understand and relate. I want to be that person who can communicate with others and tell them what they are doing, relate to them and understand their perspective, and also be able to be a moderating influence on overall and shed light on situations, particularly when they get complex.
Okay, great. So my next question is that how do you see yourself in next 5 years?
Well, probably in the next 5 years, I'll probably be retiring probably within the next 5 years. So I want to be able to look back and be able to help people and start another phase in my life in which I start doing some more writing, start doing a little bit more speaking and sharing what I learned, trying to mentor others, trying to mentor people, the next generation in moving forward. So that's where I see myself. I see myself as being the type of individual who can teach other people some life lessons, or at least provide them some guidance along the way and possibly some wisdom and insight.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what is your profession?
Oh, I work in mainframe programming in an IT support right now in a large telecommunications company. And basically, the mainframe is a bunch of technologies, and a lot of this stuff is 40 years, 50 years old. It's written in assembler, it's written in COBOL, it's written in another other languages that are native to the mainframe, and we translate those particular processes for we translate and try to provide guidance on those processes and maintain them, for the current world. There's not as many of us left, but mainframe technology is very robust and very hard to replace. So there's a reason why a lot of applications that run on the mainframe have ran steady and reliably for 40 and even 50 years. But we just got to keep them going for modern times.
Okay, great. So my next question is that can you share your memorable journey?
Um, oh, well, a good memory of my journey is that there was a manufacturing system that required using composite parts, and at that time, composite parts was relatively new, and we needed to develop a system that would allow people to keep track of the details of manufacturing composite parts, to make sure that materials weren't expired, to make sure that things were properly laid together, to make sure that the manufacturing people could focus on their particular process. And that's what we did. We came up with a system. It allowed them to track cycles so that they could cook the composite parts in what they called curing cycles, make sure that the material wasn't expired, because retired retire retire expired materials basically meant that your was that a part would fail and not meet standards. So they needed to be able to do that and do that reliably in a manufacturing environment, be able to log the materials using barcodes. And it was rather complex, and there's a lot of detail involved. And in the end, we had a composite part system for manufacturing that we were proud of.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what skills do you think are most important for success today?
Well, the skills that you need today is not just people skills, but you also want to be able to invest a lot of time in the technical ability. There are more boring aspects of computer programming in which they were talking about the underlying technologies. A lot of people are dazzled by the AI, but I think that people need to go deep into at least one or two programming languages, which are not high level programming languages that go into the details, because if you're going to develop a system or understand a system or try to break down a system using AI, you need to be able to appreciate the programming underneath. Even in old client server systems, I remember a DBA talking about the fact that someone was getting 20 entries on the thing, but the logic that they were using was querying 20,000 entries underneath. And in the short run, that could work. But if you can't get the computer programming to focus, then you get an awful lot of overhead and there's a lot of expense, and things start slowing down, and you need to be able to appreciate why something is slowing down and be able to make it more efficient. And AI is a good temptation to develop things fast, but it can develop things fast, but at the cost of a lot of inefficiency. So understanding underlying technologies, I believe, is the key of going deep on some basic programming languages is the key.
Okay, great. So my next question is that how do you motivate yourself in difficult situation?
Well, when things are difficult, and this week has been a difficult week, the best thing you can do is take a step back. You need to move forward. Sometimes if a problem is really hard, you need to admit that you need to have some rest. One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is that if you're really tired and you're pushing on a system, that you're moving forward, but you're moving forward at a much slower pace. A lot of times, working long hours, it comes down to the fact that your body will adjust. So if you get used to working 12-hour days, your body will end up doing about 6 hours worth of work. If you work a 6 hour day, your body will end up in the long run doing 6 hours worth of work. So you have to appreciate the fact that there's are limitations to what you can do, and you have to be willing to get other people's help when you need it. But also the key is that you have to get that rest. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to solve the most difficult problems. And that's what I've been facing this week particularly.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what are your future plans or upcoming projects?
Oh, my future plans. I've been trying to support a major system in its transition, in which now we have taken over the coding of a major mainframe system, and we're looking into the possibilities maybe over the next few years of transitioning that system over to the cloud. But we have to get an understanding of how it's working in the mainframe environment before we can do that. So that's what the big project is that I'm not doing it all. I'm only part of a team, but that team is looking to move that project over into a cloud environment in order to get things in order to try to advance it in the next level of technology. That might take more than 5 years though.
Okay, great answer. So my next question is that what motivated you to choose your career path?
Well, what motivated me to choose my career path was is that I found that my abilities to write, my technical abilities and abilities to understand complex systems was in alignment with IT processes at the time. That there were a lot of programs, that there was a lot of work, there was an awful lot of breaking down of processes, and that was fun. So you could break down processes and focus on things without necessarily having to tell other people the details of what you were doing, and that appealed to me. So yeah, programming and being able to understand things at a technical level was a good thing for me to move forward. Yeah.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what is the one lesson you learned from your failure? Because some people does not be accept our failure. So what you learn your lesson from your failure?
Well, what I learned my lesson from the failure is that sometimes you can't accept the obvious. Sometimes you think that you have an obvious solution, that you have something that's going to move you forward in a particular way. And what I've learned is that sometimes if a problem is not working, it may be that you have used the wrong approach and you have possibly used the wrong tool in order to solve that particular problem. And you just need to appreciate the fact that you need to walk away from what they call sunk cost. It was just because you worked an awful lot on a particular solution doesn't mean that that solution is a workable solution in the long run.
Okay, great. So my next question is that how do you manage your stress and challenges in your work?
My apologies. Could you repeat that question?
Okay, I will repeat my question. My question is that how do you manage your stress and challenges in your work?
Okay. Well, stress is one of those things in which you just basically have to understand things. If you're under stress, a lot of times it's it's because it's because the problem isn't fully understood. So sometimes what you do is that you take a step back, you try to find something easy to do, you try to find the underlying reasons for your stress. And sometimes you just need to take a break for a few minutes and be able to unwind, do something different. So that's normally how I handle my stress. Is just that I say, well, it's time to take a little bit of a walk. It's time to unwind. It's time to relax.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what does leadership means to you?
Leadership means that you are able to have a vision and lead others into and have others join into that process. You can't manage people. Leadership involves both a vision and an inspiration and a willingness to be able to sell that particular vision onto other individuals so that they can buy in. So to me, people who are leaders are getting others to buy in, whether or not there's a financial incentive or a rule-based incentive. A leader can lead someone into doing something, and the reason that they're leading them transcends any rules or roles that they might have.
Okay. So my next question is that how do you continue your learning and improving yourself?
Learning and improving myself is the key. Normally, what I do is that I keep my eyes open. I try to see what is going on with the industry, but I also try to keep myself learning and growing in other unrelated topics because a lot of times understanding one thing leads to insights and understanding of another thing. So learning isn't necessarily a goal, but it is something which I integrate into my life. That I'm looking for something, I'm curious about how something is being done, and then I will look at the underlying technology. That's what I've done with an awful lot of more advanced technologies. I played with AI a little bit to try to get an appreciation for what AI can do, but also get an appreciation for the limits of what an AI tool can do. So my learning is that I work with something, I look at its limits, and then I try to appreciate what its limits are. I also try to go deep into other fields that are not necessarily related to mine that offer insight. So a learning is a continuous life experience.
Okay. So my next question is that what do you like to do in your free time?
Oh, in my spare time, I like going to art museums. I also go to concerts and I also participate in Toastmasters. I take an awful lot of pictures at Toastmaster events. I take pictures of at art museums and around, trying to take some candids, trying to get an understanding of the world through photography. I also love obviously reading. I like to read a few science fiction novels here and there, and I spend probably too much time at Starbucks surfing the internet.
Okay. So my next question is that what is your favorite book or movie that inspired you most?
Okay, well, one of the books or one of the individuals who inspired me most, and it was from what I understood in his literature, was Joseph Campbell. He wrote a book called Hero with a Thousand Faces, in which he broke down metaphors and the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is the cliche, but back in the '80s when the book, well, actually the book came out in the '70s, but when I read it in the '80s, the Joseph Campbell's book was talking about how a hero and how the same journey is done by various people and what is found in those particular journeys. So that was inspired me. I was inspired by Joseph Campbell. In terms of sci-fi, I do like more of the hard sci-fi. There's a series that was a book series called The Expanse that shows the world in a what if we could perfect fusion based propulsion technology, and it doesn't violate too many rules of the physics, but it also deals with the reality of the people and what would happen in such a world in a more realistic manner than, say, Star Trek or Star Wars, which is more fantasy based.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what is the definition of success?
What if I'm sorry, what was that question again?
I want to repeat my question. In your era, what is the definition of success?
Okay, success is being where you are because you want to be there. There are an awful lot of people who might meet the definition of success, but they quote unquote sold their soul, or they've sold who they really are, or they're faking it. And what I've found is that no matter how much money someone makes or just how successful someone is, that if they are in the wrong role, if they're unhappy. So success is being comfortable doing what you do that makes you feel comfortable, being yourself. So that's what I define being economically and comfortable in a profession or doing things that you are comfortable with.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what is the one thing people may not know about you?
The one people thing that people may not know about me was is that I grew up in on military bases as what they refer to as a military brat. That an individual that and when you lived on military bases, I had the privilege of living in an integrated environment with a lot of diverse people in a diverse races in a diverse environment early on. So I saw how people could work within a professional, work together, and that informed my life. I also had the privilege of growing up in an areas like the Panama Canal Zone, in which you could go out and you could explore without parents being worried about where you went because the environment was relatively safe, and that informs my perspective on how things can be and how people can work together.
Okay, great. So my next question is that what inspired you start to your professional journey and how your skills can be better day by day.
Okay, what inspires me on my professional journey is that I find that no matter how difficult things are, no matter how difficult people are, that you can understand the underlying that you can that the same underlying problems occur again and again and again. But the thing is that once you find a solution, a lot of times what you find is that a good solution rings true, and good solutions are the reward for an awful lot of frustration. So you know that no matter what you're doing as you're slogging on, that when everything is said and done, that you have a pride in what you've accomplished.
Okay, great. So my next question is that how Pakistani students can come in other countries for study?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one?
I repeat my question. My question is that how Pakistan student can come in other countries for study like USA, Canada, Australia.
Okay, my apologies. I'm having difficulty. Just one more time, just a little bit slower. I, I, I'm not sure if I just go ahead and repeat it one more time. I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, what you say?
I can't. I couldn't understand the question. That's what I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I will repeat my question. How does Pakistani students can come in other countries for study?
Oh, okay, yeah, um, yeah. So what you need to study is you need to study basically some just just some history of the of other places, so you can understand where people are coming from. And and one of the areas that you can study here, aside from history and comparative cultures, is that getting a good grasp of artificial intelligence, or getting so you can show that you've got a lot of the chops that will make things that will open up possibilities, but don't necessarily commit yourself to particular technologies. Understand the underlying framework. Get into the math. Understand math more. Everything like that.
Okay, thank you very much. So the time is too much short, so I want to just get you convey a little bit message with my audience.
Okay. Oh, and the message is, yeah. Well, my message for the audience is that I have a never-ending sense of the possible, and that's not necessarily my particular quote, but when you can see, but everything can grow in its own momentum. That something something can change over time, and that the possibilities and the perspectives that you have on something can change. And you just have to keep yourself open to the sense of the possible and how things can change over time, and your understanding can grow within that framework.
Okay, you convey a very great message with my audience. So, thank you so much, Mark, for sharing your valuable insight with us today. It was truly inspiring talking with you, and thank you to our audience for watching this interview. If you enjoyed this conversation with Mark Novak, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And see you in the next interview. Goodbye, everyone.
All right. Thank you. Bye bye. Good talking to you guys.